My name is Mike Hall, and I'm a candidate for Vermont State Senate for Bennington County here in Vermont. As many of you may or may not be aware of, I spent nearly 40 years in law enforcement, and I spent 36 years with the Manchester Police Department and the last 8 years with that agency as the chief of police, and I retired a year ago this past July. A lot's been going on around the country, folks, with law enforcement. Everything from defunding the police to revising how police respond to complaints and that sort of thing. Here in Vermont in particular, the Vermont legislature has undertaken a couple of measures which are extremely important for the public to understand, and they need to understand just how critical and dangerous these bills are. And essentially what this bill does is it strips law enforcement of their ability to make split-second decisions. And anyone that's ever been involved in law enforcement or been involved in any kind of a combat situation or an assault in general, defunding the police or disarming the police, the end result is the same. It places the officer at greater risk. It places the community at greater risk. You can't allow people to be committing crimes and ignoring it. And you're going to be seeing that because law enforcement officers, when faced with those decisions, will make the choice, hey, I can just turn around and go the other way. Vermont wants to reduce their prison population, and they enacted a number of bills by way of rulemaking, which essentially gives individuals the right to furlough or release from jail at an earlier stage. And so much so that they want to eliminate the life without parole provisions of serious offenders throughout the state. And as I've explained to the lawmakers, that's what we have judges and juries for. They hear the evidence, they weigh the facts, and they dole out the appropriate punishment based on the facts. And what concerns me is that if you keep releasing bad individuals into the community, and I think our crime statistics show it with the increase in violent crime in Vermont, it's okay as long as you're not the victim. But for the victims, it's a big deal. And sooner or later, you will be a victim if we keep releasing these people back into society. Now, I'm not for mass incarceration, but at the same time, you have to understand that you can't keep letting bad people out. And in the state of Vermont, 78 to 80% of all the people that were being returned to jail from the Department of Corrections were being brought back in on what the state called technical violations. Drinking when they weren't supposed to be, being out after curfew, traveling out of state. Well, listen, folks, if you can't abide by the simple rules of not drinking, traveling out of state, being abusive to your significant other or a spouse, girlfriend, whatever, if you can't live by those rules, you certainly aren't going to live by society rules. Pay attention to what's going on behind the scenes here. Listen to people like myself who are going to give you the real deal and the facts about what's going on behind the scenes in law enforcement. The law enforcement people in the state of Vermont have been muzzled. They've been pretty much told, shut up, don't say anything, and you know what? You don't need to take my word for it. How many officers throughout the state have you heard talk about this? None. And you know why? Because if you do, they're going to come after you. Well, guess what? I don't have to worry about that. I've done my career in this business, and even before I was done in this career, I was standing up telling guys this was wrong, we needed to get out ahead of this. The good people of this state want to be able to live like we used to be able to live free without having to worry about locking our doors when we go down to the corner store to pick up a quart of milk. We want to be able to live free knowing that the guy walking down the road is not going to be turning around stealing stuff out of our house or, doing a home invasion. Folks, it's not that hard. These people that are, I call them criminal sympathizers, have more compassion and sympathy for criminals than they do with you. If you elect me to be your state senator, send me to Montpelier, that will be one of the priorities I'll be looking at to stop. These people need to be where they belong, either changing their ways and becoming model citizens or behind bars, one or the other.